Yesterday's price is not today's price.
Oh, yeah. Sports betting, the trap, explained.
Sports bet. This is what winning $75 billion in 5 seconds looks like. Oh, wow.
I ain't gonna front with you guys. This shit is real. Little backstory for you. I remember it was like COVID time. Those stimmies just hit. And my girlfriend and I, we took a trip out to Lake Tahoe at the, the Silver something hotel out there. And it was the night that Jorge Masvidal was going against Kamaru Usman. And that night, through the entire duration, because, I mean, what else, where were we going to go? Through the duration of that UFC fight, I turned $300 into $1,700 just betting the entire night. And let me tell you, when that shit hits, it'll start something. Let's talk about it.
FanDuel, DraftKings, MGM, PrizePicks. Go.
If you feel like sports betting is taking over the world, you're not imagining it. In 2023 alone, Americans wagered $119 billion on sports. That is more than the GDP of entire countries. But here's the question nobody's asking. Why is the betting app on your phone so addictive? If you think you're just placing a wager on your phone...
Well, and it's not just that. It's everything on your phone is addictive. The gamification of everything has made everything addictive. This black box that they have put in our hand has so much power in it now that it can just, it can just turn you into that simply. Like there's no secret to it anymore. I think I've done enough videos on here talking about things that have to do with this thing being the start of all of it, from TikTok to whatever in between. We have gamified everything, and once they opened the floodgates of sports betting in other states that never allowed sports betting, but they figured out loopholes around the sports betting, it's over.
Favorite team, you are actually walking into a trap designed by neuroscientists to short-circuit your brain. In today's video, we're going to break down the legal loophole that put a casino in your pocket, examine the video game psychology they use to keep you hooked, and finally show you the one specific bet these apps are praying that you make. To understand how we got here, we have to look at how the laws changed, because for a long time, what you're doing on your phone right now would have landed you in handcuffs.
Fact.
Back in 1992, Congress passed a law called PASPA, the Professional and Amateur Sports Protection Act. This effectively banned sports betting in every state except Nevada. The government wanted to protect the integrity of the game. They didn't want referees or players throwing matches for money. So for 25 years, if you wanted to bet on the Super Bowl, you had to fly to Las Vegas or find a sketchy guy named...
Good AI work. Yeah, man. I mean, like, there was no gambling available. I remember in my hometown, they were in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, and this is when I was growing up. There was a huge debacle. They were going to try to open up a casino. And let me tell you, man, in that small town, what them trying to open a casino, what it opened up, I mean, you had Farmer John at the town hall meeting saying they mess up my crops and we bring in all the criminals and stuff like that. And I mean, to an element, yeah, but also looking at the town now, that one casino could have set the town up for, I mean, it's basically a ghost land now. So yes, there is an element that comes with this gambling, but there is also money that is just going to come from it regardless of what we all think. Why is it where it is today? Why do we have LeBron and Kevin Hart telling bad jokes on a couch to get you to play whatever FanDuel game that they have going on? Is because there's money in it.
Vinny at the local bar. But then something strange happened in 2006. Congress passed another law called the Unlawful Internet Gambling Enforcement Act. This law was actually meant to crush online poker. it made it illegal for banks to process payments to gambling sites. But tucked away in the text of that law was a tiny exemption, a few lines of text that would eventually change the entire American economy. The law said that fantasy sports were not gambling because they were games of skill, not chance. Now, at the time, fantasy sports meant a bunch of office workers drafting a team for the whole season and putting $20 in the pot. It was slow, harmless, and social.
Slow, harmless, and social, but, it's fun to put a couple dollars down on it. So thus, it created this thing that was always in our society regardless. Even in prize fighting, like I just said earlier about the UFC, prize fighting in the lines of, like, say if a fighter is like plus 300 or other fighters like minus 175, those were always happening in fights since the early days of fighting because it just goes hand in hand. Shout out to Luke Thomas.
But two companies, FanDuel and DraftKings, saw that exemption and realized they could drive a truck through it.
And I will also be posting my code for underdogs, so make sure you hop up on that, boys and girls.
They thought if season-long fantasy is legal, why can't we do daily fantasy? Instead of waiting 6 months to win, you could draft a team in the morning, watch the games at night, and win the money by bedtime, and then do it again the next day. Technically, it was still fantasy sports, but functionally, it was sports betting.
Boy, I wish I was in the boardroom when they came up with that. They were like, "Look, man, let me tell you something. We're gonna make fantasy football year round. Not only can you do fantasy football, but if you want video games, we can do video games and tennis and everything. Oh my God, yeah, let's do it." I wish I was in the boardroom when that happened.
And because of that 2006 loophole, they were allowed to operate in almost every state, building massive databases of users and normalizing the idea of betting on your phone. This was the Trojan horse. By the time the government realized what was happening, millions of Americans were already hooked. But the final nail in the coffin for the old laws came from New Jersey. You see, the state was struggling financially and wanted a piece of the betting action. They sued the NCAA and the pro leagues, arguing that federal government could not tell states what laws to pass. The case went all the way to the Supreme Court, and in 2018, in a landmark decision called Murphy versus NCAA, the court struck down PASPA. Overnight, the federal ban was gone. It was now up to every state to decide for themselves.
I know Tony Soprano was pissed about that.
And since states love tax revenue, the dominoes fell fast. Within a few years, over 30 states legalized it. But here's the catch. When the floodgates opened, the companies that were ready to pounce weren't the old school casinos. It was the daily fantasy companies, FanDuel and DraftKings, who had spent a decade building the perfect mobile interface for sports betting. They didn't just bring sports betting to your phone, they brought the mechanics of mobile gaming to gambling.
The gamification of gambling, ladies and gentlemen.
And that brings us to the second, more dangerous layer of this story. Have you ever noticed how fast these apps are? If you walk into a casino in 1990 to place a bet, you had to walk to the counter, tell the ticket writer your bet, hand over cash, and get a paper ticket. It was a transaction. It took time. You had a moment to think, should I really be betting my rent money on the Jets? The apps today have removed that friction. And that is by design. Neuroscientists and UI designers call this reducing the time to reward. The faster they can get you from an impulse to a wager, the less time your prefrontal cortex, the logical part of your brain, has to intervene. But speed is just a delivery mechanism. The drug itself is dopamine. And these apps borrow heavily.
And when you see when you see Bradley Beal and Steph Curry and fucking whoever you have on your lineup turn green after 7 assists, I ain't gonna lie, that shit feel good.
From the freemium gaming world, think Candy Crush or Clash of Clans. They use variable rewards and sensory feedback to gamify the experience of losing money. For example, look at the cash out button. You place a bet on a team, they go up by 7 points, suddenly the app offers you a button. Cash out now for 80% of your profit. It feels like a generous feature, giving you control. But psychologically, it keeps you engaged with the app during the game. Instead of placing a bet and walking away, you're glued to the screen, constantly making micro decisions. Every second the number changes, you get a little spike of adrenaline. It turns a passive activity, watching a game, into an active high-stress loop.
Now, here's what I'll also say. There is a majority of people that can completely watch a sporting game and not have the element of gambling added to their experience while they're watching something. So I don't want to like have this video feel like it's a blatant statement on everybody who watches sports is a complete degenerate. However, I would say most of us who are watching sports are somewhat of a degenerate. So kind of goes hand in hand. It does also offer that element. I will say the barrier of entry for people who maybe are younger in age that are getting on these things and they are, actively using these apps at a young age. Like, where are you getting that money from? Are you getting a hold of your parents' credit card to get on there and place a huge bet? I mean, large risk, large reward. I even know a guy that lives in my apartment complex who is like, he got a fire Discord, man. Shouts out to him.
Then there's the near miss effect. In slot machines, if you get 2 cherries and a lemon, the machine flashes lights and
damn lemon
plays a sound that is almost as happy as a win. Your brain registered this not as a loss, but as I almost won. Sports betting apps do the exact same thing.
And fuck you if you love slot machines. Like I go to the times when I go to Vegas and I see like the video ones, like I see those and I'm like, well, they could just program that to, like how do you know you're gonna like win like when I could just be like the guy in the control room and I could see you spinning and I could just be like, oh, nah, he's gonna lose that one. So I never really understood the magic behind slot machines and why so many people will like sit in front of those things and smoke their Virginia Slims and just be cranking or pressing that button over again. That I never really understood, but something along the lines of like blackjack and poker, where in a relative sense there is somewhat skill to go on, but I'm ready for like the new age of casinos when you could bring your Yu-Gi-Oh cards or your Pokemon deck into the casino and actually like have a trained player of Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh go up against you. I would just be interesting. I just feel like while Vegas is losing a lot of their, a lot of people, a lot of tourism, is they aren't trying to cater to what the generation that I came from or the current generation actually is doing. It's still actually relatively catered to like an older crowd, even when it comes to clubbing, because these kids aren't really doing that. So it's like, if I was in the boardroom out there, I would just be like, dude, why are we not having Magic the Gathering in our casinos right now? Like, don't close off those. But I think training people and have the right people that can play the game on a regular basis, that's probably like the hard part. But, I digress.
Let's say you bet on a player to score 20 points. He scores 19. A rational...
That's the worst thing. And then you'll notice they take him out the game with like 7 minutes left, and you're like, what the fuck? He had one more point. And then they be right on the line, and you be tight because you got to eat ramen noodles after that.
The brain would say, I lost money. I was wrong. But the gambler's brain, hijacked by the interface, says, I was so close. I just need to tweak it a little bit the next time. This near miss releases dopamine almost identical to a win. It encourages you to chase the loss immediately because you feel like the win is right around the corner. And the apps know this. And this is why immediately after a loss, you will often get a notification for a boost offer. They want to catch you in that vulnerable state of almost. They also use bonus bets or risk-free bets to get you started. You have seen that.
Oh, yeah, baby. So if you use code BBSound1 and you deposit up to, I think, $50, you get an extra $50 on top. So remember, ladies and gentlemen, code BBSound1, Underdog Fantasy. Play today. Hey, fantasy sports fans, are you ready to take your skills to the next level? With Underdog Fantasy, you can draft your favorite players so you can make the ultimate picks to win cash. And it's super simple. All you have to do is pick more or less on your favorite player stats, and if your pick is correct, you get cashed out instantly. And I can't think of any other way that I would watch the game after using Underdog Fantasy, and I want you to join up by using my promo code BBSound1. By using my promo code Underdog Fantasy will match your deposit up to $100 so you can start playing instantly. Download today and start making your picks. Underdog Fantasy, where every fan becomes a champion.
Bet $5, get $150 in bonus bets instantly. This sounds like free money, but you need to read the fine print. Usually, you can't just withdraw that $150 they just gave you. You have to bet it. It is monopoly money that only exists inside their system. They're willing to give you $150 because they know the lifetime value of a new customer is thousands of dollars.
Now, if some of you don't come from the inner city and you've experienced people who are in the art of the dark sales, you meet them, they find out what you like, they find out what you want to do, and they're like, well, go on and try this thing. You call me in the morning. And they know that little sample, that little sample they gave you, they'll know that phone will be ringing. And they know you'll be calling back. So that's what they do. You put your money in and you get that little hit, you might win. And they know you'll come back and come back and come back again. I'm not here to demonize online gambling. I think that it's actually, I hate to say this, I think it's kind of a good thing that it's out there. Do people have gambling problems? Yes. I feel like with a little bit of practicing balance, and now granted, are we all a little overloaded on our dopamine that we are having just there's so much dopamine rushes that you can get from your phone right now. That's true. A lot of this is going to be on the work that we do, the inner work that we do to actually fix these things. So that's something that you kind of have to think about. But I mean, I live like right up the street from the Hard Rock, and it's just a part of it's a part of the world. And no matter what, they're gonna figure out, if banned, they're gonna figure out how to do it.
They're paying for your addiction acquisition. Once you're in, they stop giving you free money and start nudging you towards the most profitable product in their arsenal, the one specific bet that powers the entire industry. If you learn one thing from this video, let it be this.
This boy, and I'll tell you, that winning streak that I was telling you guys about, I have also been on a losing streak as well. Now, granted, like, your boy is a hustler and I'm gonna always get at it, but if you picture yourself as a gambler, you will hit a losing streak. You will definitely hit a losing streak in your time gambling. I will 100% say that will happen to anybody who decides to gamble. But then also the way you could look at it is every time that you walk out the front door, are you gambling?
Sportsbooks do not want you betting on who will win the game. If you bet $110 on the Chiefs to win and they win, you profit $100. The sportsbook only makes a small commission, usually called the vig or the juice, which is about 4.5% to 5%. That is a razor-thin margin in a sports world. If some sharp bettors got lucky, the sportsbook could actually lose money on that game. So they need a product with a higher margin, a product where the math is so heavily stacked against you and they effectively cannot lose. And the answer to their prayers is the parlay. A parlay is when you combine multiple bets into one ticket. The Chiefs,
them damn parlays,
to win, and Patrick Mahomes throws 2 touchdowns and Travis Kelce catches a pass. All 3 things have to happen for you to win. If even one of them fails, you lose the whole bet.
Try to stick to 2-leg. If from a degenerate to maybe another degenerate on this video and you're watching, try to stick to 2 legs. I know you might not cash out the way you want to, or you might have that option where you can cash out, but just try to stick to 2 legs. 2 sure thing legs.
The appeal is obvious. You can bet $10 to win $500. It looks like a lottery ticket. It's exciting. It's a story you can tell your friends if you win. But here's the math they hide from you. On a street bet, meaning betting on one single game, the sportsbook keeps about 5% of the money wagered. On a parlay, the sportsbook keeps on average 30% or more.
Kaboom! There's so much money in it. If you at Underdog, anyone at Underdog Fantasy sees this and you need a video editor, holler at your boy. I'll help you get to that 30%. All right.
In some states like New Jersey, parlays account for huge chunks
These are jokes, friends. Have some fun with me. We're having a good time.
of sportsbooks revenue, even though they make up a smaller percentage of the total handle. Why is the margin so high? Because the probability of hitting a multi-leg parlay drops off a cliff, but the payout does not rise fast enough to match the true risk. Let's do the math. Imagine a simple coin toss. It's a 50-50 chance. In a fair world, if you bet $10, you win $10 in profit. You double your money. Now, if you try to predict 2 coins flips in a row, that's a parlay. It gets much harder. You only have a 25% chance of getting it right. Mathematically, to make that bet fair based on the risk, the app should pay you $30 in profit on the same $10 bet. But they don't. They will typically pay you about $26. They're shaving value off the top, and they shave it every single time you add a leg to the parlay. By the time you have an 8-leg lottery ticket, the house edge is so astronomical, sometimes over 40%. This is why every promotion you see is for a parlay. They're incentivizing you to play the game where they have the biggest advantage.
And this is true. Same day parlay. Make that thing, cook it up. I had my shout out to my boy Skeet. He actually kind of like hit on those parlays pretty crazy. Like the other week, he sent me a photo of it. And yeah, I mean, but he's also had ones that were stinkers too. So it's just like, you know, at your own risk, little fiver, a little tenner. Does it add up? Yes, it adds up. But what I would also argue, and this is a slight argument, like, please don't take this crazy, that is, you know, if you're someone who works regularly and you have a good income and you can manage the risk that you're taking a little bit here and there, you know, that's just like my aunt back in the day when she would go to the store and she would get her little scratchers. Like they're going to figure out how to get it from you anyway. So just manage that risk that you're going to take.
Think about it. When was the last time you saw a casino offer a boost on a blackjack hand? Never, because the margins are too tight. But they offer boosts on parlays constantly because it is the most profitable item on the menu. Recently, they introduced the same game parlay. This was a genius invention by the sportsbooks. In the past, you couldn't parlay Chiefs to win and Mahomes to throw 3 touchdowns because these events are correlated. If Mahomes throws 3 touchdowns, the Chiefs are likely to win. The old math didn't work for the books. So now they rebuild their algorithms to allow it. Now you can bet on every tiny micro event in a single game.
You can bet on the Gatorade being purple. You can bet on the coin flip. You can bet on the wind being over and under 50, 14 miles per hour, something like that. They've really made it to where you can, if you want some action, you can bet on, or if a ref is going to trip at any time in the game. And I'm sure we're going to get to the like poly markets where we've kind of taken the insider trading method into gambling as well.
It creates an illusion of knowledge using, I know the Chiefs offense so I can predict exactly what will happen. But sports are chaotic. Anything can happen. A receiver slips, a penalty cancels a touchdown, a coach decides to run the clock out. One random event kills your 10-leg parlay. You lose your money, but you tell yourself, I was so close, just one leg missed. And you bet again. And that's what they're counting on. So we have a legal system that allows it, an app built to addict you, and a specific bet type designed to drain your wallet. What is the result? We're seeing a quiet financial crisis happening all around us. The study from the Kellogg School of Management is terrifying. It analyzed millions of transactions. I found that for the average person, for every dollar of increased betting, net investment or savings went down by $2. That means people aren't just spending their fun money. They're pulling money out of savings, reducing their 401k contributions, and dipping into emergency fund to chase losses.
Yeah, and that's where it gets bad, when you want to chase your losses and then you want to add more money into the fire that you're already starting because you're like, okay, I'm going to get them back after this one. When I do think that there are, better, especially now that the money is so ingrained into sports. Y'all watch basketball, betting ball, FanDuel ball, DraftKings ball. They got that thing on lock, and they know when to take anybody out of the game right before they hit their target or goal. Like, It happens. Now, do people have to win every time? Of course they have to win every time. But for the majority of the time, if you've watched a game and you were about to hit on your parlay and they take the full out 4 minutes before the game is over and bench him, you're like, what is going on right now? He was 2 points away and he was just like wet the entire time throwing that ball up. It's a wrap.
The study also found that among financially constrained households, people who are already living paycheck to paycheck, credit card debt increased, and bank account overdrafts became more frequent after sports betting were legalized in their states. We're seeing people treat sports betting not as entertainment, but as an investment strategy. You hear people say, I'm investing in a Bills game. No, they're not. Investing is when you put money into an asset that produces value over time.
It's so funny that, we've come up with all this finance. Now that the internet's out, we have all of this finance bro lingo, and we can just kind of insert it into other places. It's really funny to think about it like that, but it's you can really use this flowery language to really sauce something up when you're just a degenerate gambler. I mean, and hey, no shade on my end, because your boy is kind of one himself at times. I mean, I'm on YouTube chatting with you guys right now, gambling. You're going to put a like and a comment and subscribe on this video. But hey, that's all of us to some extent. We can't think that we don't at some way, some point, no matter who you are in this world, gamble in some sort of way in our life.
Betting is a negative-sum game where you're paying a fee for the privilege of taking a risk. But because the apps look like stock trading apps with green numbers, graphs, data analytics, it tricks your brain into thinking we're day traders. And just like the payday loans and subprime mortgages, the damage isn't visible immediately. It happens slowly, transaction by transaction. $50 here, $20 there, until the savings account is empty. Is the answer to ban sports betting? Probably not. Americans love to gamble, and prohibitions rarely works. So if you are going to participate, you need to treat the app like a dangerous tool. You need to wear safety gear. Here's how you can protect yourself. Number 1, stop betting parlays. If you actually want to make money or at least lose...
Oh, he putting us on right now. Get your notepad out, everybody. Get your notepad out.
Slowly, stick to straight bets. Pick one team or one game. The house edge is 4.5%, not 30%. It's boring, but that's how you save your bankroll. Number 2, unit management. Professional bettors never bet more than 1% or 2% of their total bankroll on a single game. If you have $1,000 set aside for betting, your bet size is $10, period. If you're betting $50 or $100 just to feel something, you're not betting. You're paying for an expensive dopamine hit. Number 3, recognize the churn. Understand that the app is designed to make you bet often. Live betting, same-game parlays, instant deposits, these are all speed traps. Slow down. If you find yourself betting on a Russian table tennis game at 2 a.m. in the morning...
Yeah, you're a whole type of scumbag. Where in the Das Vidania are they at right now? My man Christoph is about to go in right now, watch.
Because that's the only thing on. You have lost control. The sports betting companies are counting on you being impulsive. They are counting on you ignoring the math. They are counting on you chasing that dopamine high. Don't give them that satisfaction. Thank you for making it this far into the video. If you like this type of content, please consider like and subscribe. Let me know in the comments how you...
Yo, shouts out to my guy. I'm going to make sure that I have that video in the description, ladies and gentlemen. And as you can see it... Oh, let me come back here. As you can see it, guys, that's just kind of the ebbs and flows of the gambling. I'm not going to use the word epidemic. That's just the gambling culture we have now created with this wonderful, wonderful black box right now. I am not going to tell anyone to not do it. I think he gave some great information on how you can manage that if you are an adult that is of age and you're able to do it. Be mindful about your dopamine hits that you are trying to receive, because regardless from the time that we wake up and we're like, down goes Fraser. Regardless, when we wake up and we're click, click, click. I even got a message right now that I got to talk to a client about a wedding. That gave me a huge dopamine rush so I can get that deposit. But you got to understand, that's my gamble. That's the investment that I put into what I do, So every day you understand that we are taking some sort of risk to get some sort of reward at the same time. And when it comes to this, you just need to mitigate that, monitor it, and be mindful at the same time. Like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you think about this, and we'll see you next time. Peace.